Hey there! So in this fourth and final lesson of our mini series, we're going to learn how to apply heat transfer vinyl and make a shirt. So I thought it'd be the perfect time to also talk about uploading SVGs that you've downloaded. So if you want to go ahead and follow along with the same design I'm using, I'll have it available for download right below this video, so you can click that link to download it. So usually when you download an SVG, it comes in a zip file like this. And you can just simply go ahead on most computers, just double clicking it will unzip it, and then you'll see the SVG file inside. And that's what you want to go ahead and upload to Design Space. So you can go ahead and come into Design Space and click Upload and Upload Image. And you can either browse for the file, or you can also just go ahead and find it on your computer and then drag it into this box here, and it'll go ahead and upload. So you can go ahead and save and insert it into your project. Now, I picked this file because it's a great one to talk about some of the modifications you may want to do to pre-made SVGs. So I'm just going to go ahead and resize it slightly so we can see it better. Now, if I go ahead and ungroup this here with this button to make sure that we can move all the pieces separately, you'll see that there's a white piece right here that's layered on top of the gray. And I'll just click undo to undo that. But we don't want that white piece because we're actually just going to have a white t-shirt. So we just want this part to be cut out. So if you ever want to cut one piece out of another, the function you want to use is slice in Design Space. So we just want to go ahead and I'm creating a little box here that's only touching that gray and the white layer. And you can see over here only those two layers are selected. And then we hit slice. Now, if slice doesn't show up, it might be because you selected more than two layers on accident, and you can only slice two layers at a time. So make sure you only have two selected and then click slice. And we're gonna go ahead and get rid of the parts that we don't want. So we don't want this white piece and we don't want this gray piece. So we can select both of those and then just click that little X to delete them. But everything else looks good. We can select this gray piece here and click Arrange, Send to Back so that everything looks good and we can see the eyes and everything. Now the only other thing is these white teeth right now. They're a separate layer, but we just want it to be cut out so that our white shirt shows through. So we'll do the exact same thing. And sometimes it's easier just to select them on the right layers panel. So you can just click the teeth and then hold Control if you have a PC or Command if you have a Mac and click the other piece. And then again, we'll slice. And we can get rid of the parts that we don't want. So we don't want the white teeth and we don't want the black version of them. And we can delete both of those. And now all the pieces that we have are what we want. And you can see that the white shirt will show through. And then the white shirt will also show through in the teeth here. Okay, so at this point, you may think that you're ready to go ahead and click Make It. But you'll recall that if I hit Make It now, it's going to jumble up the pieces and not keep them in the same place, right? So instead, we need to go ahead and attach. And if you recall, we only attach items of the same color. So we'll attach all of the items that are black. So I can just hold Control or Command and click all of those black items on the right-hand layers panel here and click Attach. And then we just have that single gray piece by itself, so we don't need to attach it. Okay, now let's talk through how we determine what size of a design we want to put on our shirt. So you'll want to grab the actual shirt that you're going to be using and visualize what size you want. So one way to do that is with a ruler, and then you just place it on your shirt and you try to figure out how big of a decal will look good centered on your shirt here. Now the other way is to use these little templates that I will have available for you to cut your own. But they let you kind of visualize what a 4-inch size looks like or a 5-inch. Basically, the number on each of the templates corresponds to the inches in width of the decal. So I think about a 5-inch width is going to look good on this shirt here. So we can jump back into design space. Okay, so now that we determined 5 inches is what we want, just select around the entire design and make sure your dimensions are locked here. And then you can set the width to 5 inches and hit enter. Now this next step is totally optional, but it's just one that I find very useful, so I wanted to share it with you. And that is putting weeding boxes around your layers to make sure that you don't waste any of your material. So since we've already attached everything by color, we can separate out the 2 layers here. And then to add the weeding box, you just go ahead and grab a square. And we'll do this one first. You can just click Arrange, Send to Back. And you basically just want to place it slightly larger than the layer, and you can unlock the dimensions and then just drag it around here. And you can always select both and come to Align and Center to make sure that it's nicely centered on your weeding box. And we'll do the exact same thing for the gray layer. So we'll just grab another square. And this one we can make that same gray as the shark head. And then click Arrange, Send to Back so we can see it. And unlock the dimensions and just place it slightly larger. And again, we can select both and align and center. And then once you have your weeding boxes placed, you do want to make sure you attach them to the layer. So you just select around both and attach, and you do that for both layers. So once you've done that, you'll go ahead and we're ready to click Make It. And super important, whenever you are cutting heat transfer vinyl, you want to make sure you turn this mirror button on. And you need to go ahead and click both mats and do it for both, or however many mats you have. So just quickly click all of them and make sure that that mirror is on. And then you can go ahead and click Continue. So go ahead and select your machine. And then we are going to cut it out of just regular iron-on. So I'm just going to select this everyday iron-on. And I'm going to leave the pressure at default because I have a nice new blade and I should be good to go. And make sure you have your fine point blade loaded in your machine and you're ready to cut. Now you can see that I cut a piece of my gray heat transfer vinyl. So it's about 4.5 by 5 inches. And that's because in the preview, we could tell that that's how big of an area we needed to cover on our mat. And super important, you want to make sure that the shiny side of the heat transfer vinyl, which is called the carrier sheet, that goes face down onto your mat. So the carrier sheet should be touching the mat. Okay, so now we can go ahead and click the load button. And then the flashing go button to cut it with our machine. And once it's done, you'll simply click that unload button again, and then we're on to load the black layer. So again, make sure that the entire cut area is covered and that your heat transfer vinyl is shiny side down on the mat. And again, we'll load it in the machine and cut. And once it's finished, unload, and we have both of our layers ready to weed. So when you're ready to weed, grab your weeding hook and you can just find where those lines are. Make sure you have nice lighting so you can see them well. and then start in the corner with your weeding hook and just pull up and drag back to weed that excess heat transfer vinyl. Now luckily with heat transfer vinyl, it stays really well stuck to the carrier sheet, so you don't need to nearly be as careful as when you're weeding regular adhesive vinyl. So you're just gonna tug off all of that excess. And then once you get the majority off, we have to come in and weed all of the teeth. And then any holes within the letters. And we're just gonna repeat that same step with the gray layer. And you can see that our weeding boxes gave us those nice straight edges and prevented us from pulling up any excess material. So now we can just cut around the design so that we're ready to go. Okay, now you want to go ahead and place the gray layer down first, and then the black layer, line it up carefully on top. And if you focus on the eye area, it really helps you easily line them up. Now when you're happy with it, just go ahead and pull both layers up together, and then you're going to go ahead and crease them in the center. And that'll create a little crease line that we'll use to line up our design later. So I'm going to use a heat press for the tutorial because I think it's really the best way to apply heat transfer vinyl because you get that nice even pressure. It is not that much more expensive than an easy press, so I always recommend that if you have like room in your garage to keep a heat press, it's a much better option. But I will include instructions on an easy press or an iron below the video if you prefer. But overall, the process is the same, just different equipment. So the first thing we want to do is turn on our heat press, and I will include the link to the one I'm using here. It's a nice budget-friendly option. So you'll just go ahead and plug it in and then flip the switch on the side, the red one, to turn it on, and it'll start to heat up. So to set the temperature, just go ahead and click the temp button and the temperature will start flashing. And then you can use the arrows to increase or decrease. So we are going to do 305 for our regular heat transfer vinyl. And then for the time, you'll do the same thing. You'll just click to select it. You can use the arrows. And for the first layer, we're just going to tack it down for just 3 seconds. So I'll set that here. Now while it's heating up, we can go ahead and get a center crease on our shirt because that's going to help us line up our design. So just fold the shirt in half, place it on your heat press, and then just quickly press down for several seconds to get that nice crease in the center. And this kind of acts as a pre-press as well to get any moisture out of your shirt. Now I highly recommend using a little pressing pillow like this and sliding it inside your shirt because it lets you get really good contact with the design because sometimes some of the seams can get in the way. So by elevating that area with the pressing pillow, you make sure that you get really good contact with the press. Now let's talk about placing the design. So you want that center crease that you made in your design to line up with that center crease that you just created on your shirt. And I like to place it about 2 or 3 finger lengths below the neckline for kids, and then 3 or 4 finger widths for adults. So once it's placed correctly, you're just going to go ahead and hold down that bottom layer as you pull any of the top layers off. Alrighty, so now we can go ahead and tack down that bottom layer. So we're just going to press it for about 3 to 5 seconds and then release it. And we're just pressing it enough so that we can pull off that carrier sheet, but you do not want to press it for the full time. So once you've done that bottom layer, and you'd repeat that tacking step for any other layers until you get to the very top layer, which for us is this next black layer. So we'll place that down, and you can kind of pay attention to that eye area and take your time, make sure it's nicely lined up. And then we'll just place our Teflon sheet over it just to make sure everything's covered nicely. And on this top layer, we want to make sure that we adjust the time to be the full amount. So for everyday regular iron-on, that would be about 10 to 15 seconds. And then we will go ahead and do that final press. And then we can release it. And you can wait a few seconds just for that Teflon sheet to cool slightly. And then go ahead and pull it off. And you can go ahead and remove your carrier sheet now. And see how nicely it pulls off. And then just like that, you have that professional looking shirt. And you can see how easy it is to do with a heat press like this. And the results are just super consistent and really, really nice looking. So just like that, you are all set to go make your own shirts. So congratulations, you have finished our Core 4 mini series, and now you know how to create everything you see here, which makes you light years ahead of most people when they're starting out. Now, if you're loving these step-by-step videos and you don't want to stop now, I'm actually giving those who complete this video series a special coupon code for 50% off our Mastering Your Cricut in 21 Days ebook and video course. So it will teach you step by step how to create everything you see here. So pretty incredible when you see it all in one place, right? I just hate that people spend all of this money on a Cricut and materials, and then you may feel super lost and have no idea where to begin. So Mastering Your Cricut fixes that and shows you step by step all those essential skills that you need to know to cut everything from paper and vinyl to cutting felt and basswood. And it does it all through fun, hands-on, learn by doing projects. So everything in the course and the ebook are available digitally, so you can get started as soon as you join. But we also offer a print copy that you can purchase to be mailed to you as well. So if you want to click the link below, you can go ahead and join now and just use that coupon code CORE4GRAD at checkout, and it'll get you 50% off. So thanks again for participating in this fun mini series, and I hope to see you inside the Mastering Your Cricut course.